little beanie that will go with the dress is yarn, and this is the same yarn that I've been using to make the dress. So it's a double knit one, acrylic yarn. It's very soft, and yeah, so I'm gonna be using that, predominantly the white one. I also have a little bit of the lilac-y one. I don't have much of this, so I'm gonna try and be very careful how much I use, because I also want to make little shoes that will go with the dress, and I need them to be matching, so I need to have a little bit left over for those as well. So we're gonna need those two. 4mm hook, which I've got here, and we're gonna need a stitch marker as well, and a yarning needle to weave in the ends of our work. You will need a measuring tape as well, a wool to do that, and as always you're gonna need some brew. I've got tea today, and this is just breakfast tea. Now before we actually start with the yarn, I'm gonna just go through the dimensions for the hat, because it's very important that you actually have these and follow them to make sure that the hat is, well, it's gonna fit. So I'm gonna be making a hat for a child age 0 to 6 months, and in order for that hat to fit, I'm going to need a crown, which is 10 to 12 centimeters. So all of these dimensions are in centimeters. So this is the first thing that we're going to need, the crown, and then we're going to work on the head circumference and the height of the beanie. So for now, we just need to know the crown. If you're making a beanie for an older child, or you might even want to do it for an adult or a newborn, please make sure that you follow these dimensions. And what I also want to share with you is the pattern that we're going to follow for this beanie. Now, I know that this might be a little bit confusing for some people, but it does make sense in my head. So what we'll do at the start, we're going to have 8 stitches. We're going to do single crochet chain 1, single crochet chain 1 into a magic ring. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Now for this beanie, if you don't want to use single crochets, you can actually use double crochets forward. It's totally up to you. It's probably going to be quicker with double crochets. Then for the next row, we're going to do increase by 8, so we're going to double our work, and each row after we're going to be increasing our work by 8 stitches until we have a desired size of crown. I hope this makes sense. You can actually pause the video and have a look at it, but there is a pattern with it, and it's a logical pattern as well. So what you need to remember, that in each chain space there will be a single crochet or even 2 single crochets with chain in between, and on top of each single crochet you're definitely going to have a chain space. Okay, so let's start it, and it will come to you guys if you're not understanding this. To start with our beanie, first we need to create a magic circle. So put your yarn around like this and make like a little X, insert your hook there and pick up the working yarn over, pull through, and then do it again, yarn over, pull through, and that's your magic ring. Okay, so this beanie is worked with the same stitches that we did in the lavender dress. If you haven't seen that video, you might want to check it out, because this goes with the dress. So go ahead, insert your hook into the magic ring, pull up a loop, and just create a single crochet with chain 1. Okay, I would actually pop in a stitch marker there on a single crochet, because we will need to do slip stitch there when we finish. And we're going to do 4 of this. So I've created 1, and go ahead and make 3 more. So single crochet, chain 1, and another one, single crochet, chain 1, and the last single crochet there, chain 1, and you can pull on that tail to close that ring like so, and then it's going to be easier for you to do a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we've made in this row. So we're gonna slip stitch it there, and you've got your first row complete. So go ahead, pull on your tail to close that magic ring. So every row that we make after this, we will make sure that the single crochets are going to be done in these chain spaces. Okay, so any increases as well will be done in the chain spaces, and we're going to start each row with a slip stitch. So we are not chaining 1, but rather than chaining 1 first, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch like so, and then we're going to start our row, and we're going to start it in the chain space. The reason why we're going to start it with a slip stitch is because we want to move the increases each row, so the increases are not always in the same place, because if you do increases on the same place, it's just going to give you corners, it's not going to be rounded. Okay, so let's start row number, what's this, row number 2. Okay, so in this chain space here, we're going to create a single crochet, chain 1. Okay, I'm just going to pop in a stitch marker in this single crochet that we've made, and then in that same chain space we're going to do another single crochet with chain 1. We're going to skip 1, and in the next chain space we're going to repeat this. So single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet into that same stitch, chain 1. Okay, again we're going to skip 1, and in this chain space we're going to repeat that pattern. So single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1, and now we are coming to the last chain space there, and we're going to repeat this pattern, single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1. We're going to slip stitch it to this first single crochet that we did, so go ahead and do that, slip stitch it. So in order to start with row number 3, what we'll do is we'll slip stitch to the next stitch, and this is this one here with a chain space. So slip stitch it there like so, and then in this chain space what we'll do is we're going to create a single crochet. So this row is also going to have increase, but this time we're going to do the increases on every second chain space. So this is a single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and in the next chain space we're going to do an increase. So single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet there, chain 1. Okay, skip 1, on the next chain space we're just going to do single crochet, chain 1, so we're not doing the increase, and we're going to do the increase in the next chain space. So do the increase here, single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1. Then in the next chain space we're just going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and then do the increase in the next one, the next chain space like so. So this is the pattern that we're going to do all along row number 3, and once we finish this row we're gonna finish it by doing a slip stitch right there where our marker is, so right over here, and continue with our pattern. So this is a single crochet. All I'm left to do is just to do the increase in that last stitch there. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and I'm just gonna slip stitch it to this first single crochet. And to start the row number 4, we're going to do a slip stitch into this chain space there, like so. So your work should look something like this. Okay, so the circular shape is taking place. Now for row number 4, again we're going to do increases, but this time we're going to do the increases in every third chain space. So we're going to do single crochet, chain 1 in the first one, single crochet, chain 1 in the second chain space, and in the third chain space we're going to do the increase. So let's start this together. So single crochet right there, pop in your stitch marker like so, chain 1, skip 1, then in the next chain space you're going to do single crochet, chain 1, and then in the third chain space, so that's that one here, you're going to do the increase. So single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1. Continue with this pattern all along row number 4. Please remember to do increases on every third chain space. When you come towards the end of that row, you're going to finish it with an increase. I'm going to meet you there. We're going to connect it together and we're going to start with row number 5. At the end of row number 4, you should have 32 stitches. So I'm coming towards the end of row 4. What I'm left to do is just to slip stitch this to the first single crochet, which is right there where the stitch marker is, and do another slip stitch into the first chain space just after it. Okay, and that's row 4 completed. To start with row number 5, again we're gonna do increases, but this time rather than doing increases on every third chain space, we're gonna do increase on every fourth. So let's start this row together. So we're going to start it with a single crochet. Okay, I'm just going to pop in a stitch marker there. Okay, like so, and then chain 1, skip 1 in the next chain space. We're going to repeat this. So single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 in the next chain space, do another single crochet, chain 1, and then in this next chain space is where we're going to do our increases. So single crochet, chain 1, another single crochet into that same stitch, chain 1, and then continue with this pattern. So what you're doing is you're making 3 single crochets with chain 1 in the next chain spaces. Once you get to the 4th chain space, you're doing the increase, which is single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1 into that same stitch. So continue with this pattern. I'm going to meet you once you come towards the end of row 5. Please remember you're going to finish row 5 with an increase. At the end of row 5, you should have 40 stitches. I'm going to meet you right here towards the end. We're going to finish it together and then we're going to start with row number 6. I'm coming towards the end of row 5 and we are ready to just slip stitch it to that first single crochet that we did at the beginning of this row. And as we've done on every previous row, we're just going to slip stitch it to the first chain space like so, and we are ready to start with row number 6. Row number 6, very easy. Let's just create the first single crochet like so. Pop in your stitch marker right there and do a chain 1, Okay, so in the previous row we did all the increases on every fourth space. On this row we're going to do the increases on every fifth. Okay, so we've just created single crochet, chain one, then on the next one you're going to do the same, third one the same, fourth the same, and on the fifth chain space is where you're going to do your increases. So let's do this together. So we've done one already, so that's 2. Okay, skip 1, the next chain space is there, so that's 3, that's 4 right there. Oh, 1 second, I think I've got the wrong one. Okay, so that's 4, and on this fifth chain space here is where we're going to do the increase. So single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1 into that same space, and you're going to continue with this pattern all along row number 6. At the end of row 6 you should have 56 stitches. Please remember that you're going to finish this row with an increase. I'm going to meet you towards the end. We're going to finish it together and we're going to start with row number 7. I'm coming towards the end of what I'm going to do is just going to slip stitch it again like we've done with every previous row to that first single crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch it to this chain space, but this time I'm just going to introduce my lilac-y color because I wanted to have like a little bit of lilac pattern like on the dress to match that. So I'm going to create the first chain, the first loop like that, and I'm just gonna slip stitch it with that lilac one, and I'm just gonna tie in a little bit of a knot on the back because I don't want my yarn to escape me. I'm not gonna cut the white one because I'm gonna use the white one on the next row, so there's no need to actually cut it. Okay, so again, this row we're going to start it with a single crochet into that chain space, so like so, create your single crochet, chain 1, and for row number 7, rather than doing the increases on every fifth chain space, we're going to do the increases on every sixth. So we're going to have single crochet, chain 1 5 times in all of these, the next 5 chain spaces, and then in the 6th chain space, which is going to be around here, we're going to do the increase. So let's do that together. So we've done 1 already, so that's 2. Oh, I forgot to put a stitch marker, but I don't think it matters that much because it's a different color. That's 2. This is going to be a third one. We chain 1, 4, chain 1, 5, chain 1, and then in this 6th chain space we're going to do an increase, single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1. Please remember we are only doing the single crochets in the chain spaces, so we are not using the single crochets stitches. So for example, this one I will skip because this is the single crochet. We're only using the chain spaces. So please continue with this pattern all along this row. Please remember you will finish with an increase. I'm going to meet you towards the end of this row. We're going to finish it together and then we're going to start with row number 8. At the end of row 7 you should have 64 stitches. So I'm coming towards the end of that row. I'm just going to slip stitch it to this first single crochet that we did there. Oops, like so. And then slip stitch it to this chain space. Again, we've done this all throughout, and this time I'm just going to bring back the white and slip stitch it with that. And again, I'm not cutting the lilac-y one because I'm going to use it in the next row. Okay, so we are ready for row number 8, and before I do that, I just want to show you how big my work is, because my crown needs to be around 10 to 11 centimeters, and at the moment I've got, well, nearly 8, so I need 2 more centimeters. I reckon another maybe three more rows, maybe 4-ish. Okay, so let's do row number 8. And again, row number 8, I think by now you would have noticed the pattern. Let's create the single crochet with chain 1 in that first chain space there. So 1, and on this row what we'll do is we're gonna do single crochet chain 1 for 6 times, and then we're gonna introduce the increase on the 7th. Okay, so before we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we introduce the increase on the 6th one. This time we're going to introduce the increase on the 7th one. Let's do that together. So we've done 1 already. In the next chain space we're going to do single crochet, chain 1, then find the next chain space, single crochet, chain 1, so that's 3, skip 1 in the chain space, single crochet, chain 1. Okay, so we've done 4 so far. Then in the next one, single crochet, chain 1, so we've done 5 now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in the 6th one, single crochet, chain 1, and then in this next one here, this is where we're going to do our increase. So we're going to do, okay, single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1 into that same chain space, and you're going to continue with this pattern. Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increase. So continue with this pattern all along this row. At the end, on your last chain space, you will have an increase, so you will finish this row with an increase. I'm going to meet you there, and then we're going to start with row number 9 together. Please remember that on each row you are actually increasing by 8. So we finished with 64 on the previous one, so this one will have 72. So continue on this row, and I'm going to meet you towards the end. So again, I'm towards the end of that row. As you can see, I finished with an increase into that last chain space, and I'm gonna slip stitch it to this first chain 1 that we did on this row, like so, and then slip stitch it to this chain space here, but this time I'm just gonna use the lilac one from the back because I didn't cut that one, so I'm just going to use the lilac. Okay, and I'm going to do it like so and pull it through, and we are ready for the next row. So this is row number 9. Row number 9, again we're just going to follow the same pattern, so go ahead and create your single crochet right there into that first chain space and chain 1. Again, pop in your stitch marker. As I said earlier, they're different colors, so it doesn't really matter, but anyhow. And then this time, rather than doing the increases on every 7th chain space, we're going to do the increases on the 8th chain space. So we've done 1 single crochet, we're going to have to do 7 single crochets with chain 1 in each of the chain spaces. So in each of the 7 chain spaces. We're going to create single crochet with chain 1 like so. So this is the last one. It's very easy to notice where we're going to do it because it's just going to be right after the increase from the previous row, and then in that 8th chain space from the row below we're going to do the increase. So single crochet chain 1 and another single crochet chain 1 and continue with this pattern. I'm going to meet you once you come towards the end of this row. Please remember that you're going to end this row with an increase. I'm going to meet you there. We're going to connect it together and start on row number 10. Okay guys, so we are coming towards the end of row number 9. At the end of row number 9 you should have 72 stitches. We finish with an increase into that last chain space. So now we're just gonna slip stitch it to this first single crochet of this row like so, and we're going to slip stitch it in that first chain space there, but this time I will just pick up my white yarn from the back. Okay, like so. I'm just going to pick it up. Oh, my lilac one has come to an end. That was good timing, wasn't it? Okay, so let's slip stitch it right there. I'm just going to tie in a little knot, purely because I think I don't want it to run anywhere, but I'm just going to tie it with a bow as well, so it's just easier rather than just going everywhere. It's a bit tidier. Okay, we are ready to start with row 10. So I'm just going to do single crochet, chain 1. I'm going to pop in my stitch marker there, and I'm going to take my tape measure just to double check. So at the moment I think I've got nearly 10, so I'm going to do another row of increase and then I'm going to do the body of my beanie. Now if you're doing a bigger one, you might continue with the increases furthermore until you have the desired length of your crown and then come back to the video. It's totally up to you. If you're doing one for a newborn, you might want to stop even earlier than this. Okay, so let's do another row of increase. So this is row number 10. For row number 10 we will do the increases on every 9th chain 1 space. So we've done 1 single crochet chain 1, so we're going to do that 8 times in the next 8 chain spaces, and in the 9th chain space, which is going to be this one here, we're going to do the increase. Keep on going for row number 10. Do your increases if you're doing the same beanie as I am. I'm going to meet you towards the end of this row. We're going to finish it together and then we're going to start on the body of our beanie. Please remember that when you finish this row, on the last chain space there, you will have an increase. I've come towards the end of row 10 and I've finished this with an increase into that last chain space, and all I'm left to do now is just to slip stitch it to the first single crochet like so. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch it here, but I'm going to introduce the lilac again. I have connected it now, so I'm just going to introduce it. I'm trying to weave it in as I go along with a white one on the back, so then it's nice and neat and you don't have like lots of extra strings of yarn on the back. So let's introduce it. You might want to do it all in one color. You don't have to introduce 2 colors. I think it looks very pretty. You might actually do it with 3 different colors, and that is totally up to you. It's your beanie. You can do it any color you like. I'm just going to quickly measure this just to make sure that I've got the desired crown, which is perfect. It's nearly 11, which is fine. For the beanie that I need, I'm making 3 to 6 months. I'm quickly going to show you the dimensions again, just to refresh ourselves on them. So I'm making a beanie for 0 to 6 months. So I'm trying to do it for 3 months to 6 months, and that's why I've got 11. So you need 10 to 12 centimeters. If you're making a bigger beanie, you might want to continue doing the increases. Please remember that on each new row, you're going to do the increases for, so for example, for the 10th row, we did the increases on the 9th space. When you're doing the 11th row, you're going to do it on the 10th chain space, and so on. So the increases are like one less than the row. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so that's the crown that we're going to need. We're going to move on now to sort of the height and the head. So for the height, I'm going to need roughly 15 centimeters. I'm going to aim for 14.5, and again, you can aim for this, for the size that you are making. Okay, so we're going to start row 11 with a single crochet into that last, well, the first chain space, like so, and we're going to chain 1. This row is going to be very easy peasy. We are not doing any increases. All you're doing in each of the chain spaces, you're doing single crochet, chain 1, and that's it. Each one of these chain spaces will get a single crochet, chain 1. There's no increases at all. So you should have 80 stitches all around. Keep on doing that. I'm going to meet you towards the end of row 11, and then we're going to start on the next one together. Okay, so I'm coming towards the end of row 11. I'm going to take out my stitch marker and slip stitch it to this first single crochet, like so, and we are basically ready to start on the body. To start on row 12, what we'll do is we'll do a slip stitch in that chain space which is next to it, and we're going to create a single crochet into that chain space from the previous row. So this is very much the same as we've been doing so far, and pop in your stitch marker, and this is where the fun begins, guys. So what we'll do is in the 4th chain from here, we're gonna do a cluster of double crochets, and we're gonna do 7 in that same stitch. So go ahead and count 4. Please remember that the chain spaces do count as a stitch. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, and in this 4th stitch here, okay, which will take you to another chain space, we're gonna do 7 double crochets. Okay, so that's 1. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook into that chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So go ahead and make 7 double crochets into that chain space there. Okay, so I've got 7. Let me just have a look. 5, 6, 7. Okay, then we're gonna skip 4. So okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and in this chain space here, we're gonna create a single crochet like that. Okay, this is the pattern we're gonna follow all along this row. Now you should have multiples of 8 on this row because we started it with 8 stitches and each row we increased it by 8, so your row should be multiples of 8 anyway. And I'm gonna come and meet you once you're coming towards the end of this row. We're gonna finish it together and then we're gonna start on row number 13. Okay guys, so I'm coming towards the end of row 12. All I'm left to do now is to just slip stitch it to this first, to the first single crochet that we've made, and we're gonna chain 3. Now we're gonna have two options here really. You could stay on the right side and just crochet on the right side if you wanted to, or you can just turn your work and crochet on the wrong side, and then once you finish on the next row turn it again and so on. I prefer to do it when I'm turning my work from now on, purely because it's actually going to be easier, and I'll tell you why. So when you turn your work like I have done, so we're going to do front post double crochets in these pillars here. So this is in the double crochets from the previous row. If you're working on the right side, you will need to do back post double crochets like so. I find back post double crochets a little bit harder than front post double crochets, and that's why I'm going to be working from the wrong side. Okay, and that's why I'm going to be turning my work. So if you're like me, continue like so. If you like to work on the right side, rather than doing front post double crochets, you're going to have to do back post double crochets. Okay, to start this row, what we'll need to do is to do 3 front post double crochets. We're going to chain 2. We're going to do a single crochet in the middle of that cluster, and then 3 more front post double crochets. And that is what you're going to do on each of these clusters from the row before. So let's begin. Yarn over, insert your hook at the back of that first pillar like so. Yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do 2 more together. So that's the first one, like so, and 1 more. Okay, oops, let me try that again. I think it's catching on something. There it is, that's much better. Chain 2 and do a single crochet in the middle of that cluster, so that's in the middle double crochet from the row below. Chain 2 and do 3 more front post double crochets in those 3 double crochets from the row below. So that's 1, 2, and we've got the last one on this cluster, and we are ready to move on to the next cluster, and we're going to repeat this pattern for the next one as well. So we're going to do 3 front post double crochets like so in the next cluster, okay. Chain 2, do a single crochet in the middle, so like so, chain 2 and finish that cluster there with 3 front post double crochets. Keep on going with this pattern. I'm going to meet you towards the end. We're going to finish this row together and then we're gonna start on the next one. Okay, so coming towards the end of that row, all I'm left to do now is to do my last 3 front post double crochets for this row, like so, and we're gonna connect this with a slip stitch to that first front post double crochet that we did, like so, and chain 3 and turn your work. Now if you've been making the last row on the right side, you don't need to turn your work because we are working this on the right side as well. This chain 3 will count as a double crochet, so go ahead and pop in a stitch marker there. And the easiest way to remember how we're going to work this row is in between all these back post double crochets or front post double crochets from the previous row, so in between there, so here, here, here and so on, you're going to do a cluster of 7 double crochets, and then on top of each of these, so on top of each of these single crochets, we're going to do another single crochet. And I think that's an easier way to remember what we're going to do for this row, but let's start it together so we all know. Okay, so this is going to count as a double crochet, which means that in this space here we need to do 6 more double crochets, and that's going to give us a cluster of 7 double crochets. So go ahead and do 6 more double crochets into that space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 2 more. 6, 7. I'm really sorry, I'm not the fastest crocheter. So that's 7 on top of this single crochet. So you're going to skip all these stitches here, and on top of the single crochet from the previous row, we're going to do another single crochet like that. Then we are coming to the space in here, okay, in between those front post double crochets from the previous row, and in there we're going to do another cluster of 7 double crochets. Okay, so keep on going with this pattern all along this row. I'm going to meet you towards the end of this row. We're going to finish it together. Okay, I'm coming towards the end of that row, and all we are left to do is just to slip stitch it to that chain 3 that we did at the beginning, and we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work. So this row is very much a repeat of the row where we did the front post double crochet, so that's that one there, 2 rows down. So let's just get it started and you guys will see. So yarn over, insert your hook in the back of that pillar, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and go ahead and place a stitch marker right there. And we're going to do 2 more front post double crochets. So that's 1, that's 2, chain 2, and then do a single crochet in the middle of that cluster there, chain 2, and do 3 more front post double crochets. So this row is very much work in the cluster really. So every cluster will have this pattern. Okay, so then we finish with that cluster, we're going to move on to the next one and we're going to repeat this pattern. So we're going to do 3 front post double crochets, chain 2, single crochet in the middle, chain 2, and another 3 front post double crochets. So keep on going. Once you finish this row, you're gonna slip stitch it to that first front post double crochet. You will chain 3, turn your work, and basically you're gonna repeat the row that we did earlier. And that's pretty much it, guys. So keep on going with those 2 rows like you've been doing now. I'm gonna meet you once our work is the desired height. So when you place your beanie like this, you're actually gonna measure it from the top like so. So my beanie needs to be around 14 centimeters, so I've got a while to go. You might be doing a little bit longer or maybe a bit shorter, but once you've got roughly the size you need, maybe a centimeter less, come back to the video and then we're gonna finish our beanie together. I'm just coming towards the end of this pattern row. So I've made the height of my beanie, so all I'm left to do now for this one is just to slip stitch it to that first stitch there, but I'm gonna slip stitch it with the lilac-y one because we're gonna do the edging. So if you are crocheting with different colors, you might want to do the same. You might do your beanie with just one color, and that is totally fine. You do you, guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna slip stitch it, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie them on the back just once because I don't want them running. Okay, chain 2, and I'm gonna pull my yarn because I want to show you what my height is for the beanie. Okay, and that's about 14 centimeters, and that's what I need for the height of my beanie. And I'm ready to start on the next row, and this is just going to be the edging. So we've chained 2, and what we'll do in this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet like so. So you can pop in a stitch mark on that chain 2 there, but it's a different color, so it doesn't really matter if you're using a different color because you can basically see it. Okay, chain 2, and in the next stitch you're going to do single crochet like so, chain 2, do a single crochet in the next one, and so on. Continue with this pattern all along this row. I'm going to meet you once you come towards the end. We're going to finish this together. Okay, everybody, so I'm coming towards the end of that row where we did our edging, and all I'm left to do is just to do my last single crochet and then slip stitch it to this chain 2 space. I'm going to chain 1 because I want to show you the work. So this is what our edging looks like. As you can see, I've got this a little bit of a ruffly look there, and it does curve outwards. Now, few options here for if you want to continue with the edging. If you want even more ruffly look, even more of a ruffle there, what you can do is continue with the next row, and what you'll need to do is to do a single crochet in each of the chain 2 spaces from the previous row, chain 1, and another single crochet, chain 1 into that same space there. So then you're going to move on to the next chain 2 space, and you're going to repeat that pattern single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, move on to the next one, and so on. Now that will give you, see how our ruffles are a little bit delicate at the moment, that will give you even further ruffles, so they're just going to come like so. Okay, so if that's the look that you like, go ahead and do another row. I'm going to stop here. So what I'm going to do instead is just chain 1, pull my yarn, and I'm gonna now cut it and weave in the ends. This is a completed beanie. As you can see, I've added like a tiny little flower. I didn't want to make anything too big because I think it's gonna overpower the pattern. I do like it. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I wasn't too keen when I was making the beanie on this here with the lilac and white. Maybe it would have been better if I did just white. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but I wanted to follow the pattern of our dress. I'm quickly going to show you the dress so you can see what I mean. Okay, so this is the dress, and as you can see, it does have the same pattern there, and I just wanted the beanie to follow that and to be sort of opposite colors, and that just matches the little flower on the dress as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future uploads. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye bye.